I've always had a complicated relationship with my son, 28. My husband, 52, worked long hours, so it was often just the two of us. I always wanted the best for him, so I would nag him about things like finishing his homework, eating healthy and going to bed on time. Unfortunately, I never really listened to what he wanted, and I can now see that was a mistake. Things got worse when my husband had an affair with his co-worker, and we got divorced when my son was 16. My son wanted to live with his dad and stepmom, who he felt were more laid back. They didn't force him to contact me, and over time we lost touch. It breaks my heart to admit this, but I cried nights on end after my son moved out. I missed him terribly and didn't know how to reconnect with him. Initially, he would pick up my phone calls, but then he stopped. I continued to try and call him, but then I learned he'd changed his phone number. He was 19, I think. I was devastated when I learned he did it and moved out of state. I asked my in-laws for his new number, and they said he was old enough and he would call me if he wanted to. I took it as a sign he didn't want me to contact him. Over the years, my former in-laws became my rock. They would update me on my son's life, and I would cry tears of joy and sadness when I heard about his accomplishments and milestones. I cried during my wedding and my youngest son's birth because I miss my oldest son so much. I knew it was more of a revenge thing. My ex knew that there was something I loved in our marriage, and it was my son, so I think my ex fought for custody so he could hurt me even more. Recently, I was invited to my ex-husband's parents' anniversary party. I decided to go, hoping to reconnect with my son. I didn't expect him to be happy to see me, but I was shocked by his reaction. He was angry that I had remarried and had a young son. He felt I'd replaced him with a perfect, well-behaved kid. I tried to say that I'd wanted to tell him, but I didn't know how to reach him. He yelled at me and then left with his dad and stepmom. I feel terrible about what happened. I hoped to reconnect with my son, but I made things worse. I miss him so much, and I saw the dinner as a way to try to bridge the gap between us, but it didn't work out that way, and now I don't know what to do. Am I the idiot? Ugh, I'm so sorry, you are not the idiot at all. Seems like your ex poisoned your son against you. I don't even know what to advise since your son was the one who cut you off and seems unwilling to recognize that he was a big part of it. Also, nagging about homework and such really shouldn't be that big a deal. It's annoying for the kid, but unless you ruled with an iron fist, I don't see why that would warrant cutting you off. So let me get this straight. He's the one that walks away, moves to a different state, changes his number, and somehow it's your fault. Sounds like he's scapegoating you for the divorce. I think you got blamed by your ex-husband and his affair partner. I would have felt so betrayed that my son would pick the cheating father and his affair partner over his mom. Are you sure that your in-laws are as great as you think? So your son went no contact with you but feels he has the right to criticize or condemn you for getting remarried and having another child? Meanwhile, the cheating father and mistress turned stepmom are the heroes? When a 28-year-old gets upset about having a young half-sibling, there seems to be lingering resentment that indicates professional help. Even so, that is up to him, and maybe the ones he sees as dear to him. This gives me the sense of missing reasons. People don't cut family out of the blue. The reasons you've shared here aren't the real reasons. You need to look deeper. A party is not the place to reunite with an estranged adult child, especially to introduce them to your new family. Your expectations of your son's reaction are misaligned there. This was the first contact he had with you for years, so yeah, it will be a shock. If you knew he was in contact with his grandparents and you were in contact with them, there was a way to contact him through the grandparents. A letter could have passively informed him of your life events without the pressure of speaking to you in person or on the phone. I'm going with you are the idiot. There was a lot more going on here than you've shared, but more effort could also have been made. My brother, Nate, and his wife Jen invited me and my daughter Maddie, tween, to go on vacation with them and their kids. Laura, tween, and Danny, younger tween. They both have high-paying jobs and earn around $350,000 between them. Maddie and I are middle class. I own a small house and Maddie goes to a private school. Maddie has a good life, but it doesn't compare to her cousins. My brother and Jen rented a house for us and paid for the rental, all of the food and all of the activities. I only paid for gas when driving myself and Maddie to the house. I also have to say Nate and I don't get along very well, but I have a great relationship with Jen, mostly because of how they are with the kids. Nate tells the kids they don't have to be nice to anyone, never encourages them to share their toys, and doesn't discipline his kids. Jen is the opposite. She constantly tells the kids to share with their cousins and will punish them if they're rude to the other kids or adults. Now to the vacation. They rented a 3-bedroomed house. Nate and Jen had the master bedroom, I had the second bedroom with a double bed, and all of the kids would share a room with 2 bunk beds, 4 beds. The first night was pretty rough. The kids brought many toys but refused to let Maddie play with them. Finally, Jen came in and told them that before they left, she told them they'd have to share their toys, so share or she would take them away. They were a little rude, but mostly fine the rest of the night. The second night, Jen went out to dinner with an old friend and Nate and I were home with the kids. We were getting the kids ready for bed, and an argument broke out between them because Laura and Danny decided they didn't want to share with Maddie and told her to sleep on the couch. I expected Nate to tell them that the bedroom was for all of the kids, but he told Maddie that she had to sleep with me or on the couch. I asked if he was serious and he said yes, and that his kids weren't comfortable sharing with Maddie, and since he paid for the house, he had a right to kick Maddie out of the room. I told Maddie to get her bag and that if she didn't have a bed, we were going home. Maybe an hour after we left, Jen came back and asked why Maddie and I had left. I told her what happened and she asked me to return and promised that she'd take care of her husband and the kids because she wanted them to have a good relationship with their cousins. I said no, and shortly after we got home I got a call from my brother, yelling at me for causing a scene, creating problems between him and his wife, and being ungrateful for a free vacation. He got our parents involved and they're agreeing that it's a free vacation and I can't be picky. Am I the idiot for leaving with Maddie? I paid for your vacation, so you should be grateful for whatever crumbs I throw your way. Not the idiot, this isn't a vacation. They, Dad and kids, but Dad is more responsible, are so awful that they have to pay people to go on vacation with them, and then they're so rotten that people leave in disgust. Nate is one of those parents who wants his kids to win at all costs. He never figured out that the most important thing for a parent to remember is to raise decent human beings. Unfortunately, that's what his wife is trying to do. He's determined to raise a couple of idiots. I feel sorry for Jen. Your parents are dead wrong. You did the right thing. Sounds like a miserable free vacation. Be grateful. It's a power trip for Nate to hold over OP, and he's teaching his kids the same, and that they're better than anyone just because they have money. Also, good for you not to let your daughter be bullied. She'll remember the bullying of being kicked out of a room and forced to sleep on the couch much more than any memories of a good free vacation. The vacation is not free if she's the punching bag. It has a huge psychological toll. My husband and I have 3 children. Alex, my stepson, nearly adult. Mara, my daughter, teen from a previous relationship, and Rose, tween female, our child together. Alex's mom passed away when he was 4, and when I married my husband, I adopted him. Mara's dad is very rich, and by that I mean they have multiple maids and own a lot of houses and other things like that, so Mara has always had everything she wanted. Unfortunately, we can't afford that for our kids. A few days ago was New Year's Eve in my country. We've been saving for a while to be able to buy gifts for the kids. Alex needed a new phone and Rose needed a laptop, and we wanted to make sure we got them good electronics that they could have for a long time. So we bought the phone and the laptop, and then we noticed that it cost our entire budget and we couldn't afford anything else, so I bought a few nail polishes for Mara. I thought it would be okay as Mara already has everything she wants and needs. Also, she does enjoy painting her nails. However, when the kids opened their gifts, Mara threw them to the ground, called her dad, and left. Her dad called me that night, cussing me out and calling me an idiot, and Mara isn't talking to me anymore. Am I the idiot? Seriously, you need to ask? Of course you are the idiot. Not for nothing, but if you can't easily afford expensive electronics, then you have no business buying them. There's not a tween on this planet that needs a laptop. Mara only has some of what she wants. She wants a mother who actually cares about her, and she doesn't have that. She has one who resents her for no reason. Stupid nail polish, for God's sake. You might as well just have told her to go screw herself because that's what you mean. Also, who buys something and then notices they've spent their entire budget? You knew going in you would be doing that, so this wasn't some whoopsie moment. It was calculated, and in doing so, you made Mara a second-class citizen in your own family. Way to ruin your relationship with your daughter. Yes, Mara gets everything from her dad, but to give an obvious last-minute, oh crap, needs to get something that'll do gift is horrible, especially when the other kids are opening expensive electronics in front of her. As a young teen, you could have offered one-on-one time, an activity, a weekend away or something, even camping, which can be cheap, but is something for her. Mara would be feeling neglected. Having a rich father is no excuse for a mother to treat her daughter as less than her step or half-sibling. You're showing who you care for more when there were plenty of low-budget options that just take thought or actual care for your daughter. Update: the last time I tried to spend some time together, I took her on a weekend trip and she was nagging the entire time. The hotel was way too cheap and not good enough for her. The restaurants were trashy and the food made her nauseous. Her daddy was more fun to spend time with and I was too boring and lame. The car drive was too long and she wanted first-class plane tickets. At least the rest of my kids appreciate spending time with me. My 60 female daughter, Hayley, 37, and her wife, Alexandra, 38, said they were coming to visit us back home along with their kids, a young male teen and a female tween. Hayley only occasionally visits here, and her visits got less frequent after meeting Alexandra and even less after having kids, which is why our extended family was excited to have them here. Unfortunately, Alexandra is generally a cold person and doesn't get along with our family very well. I prepared a room for them and a separate room for their kids. I had to move a lot of furniture to accommodate their stay and I was extremely excited. My son, Harry, 40 male, helped me a lot with the process and he was also very happy to see his niece and nephew. Their flight landed yesterday. My son came with me to pick them up from the airport and drive them home, but we realized they'd arranged for a driver, and I learned then that they'd also booked a hotel room for themselves. I couldn't believe it. I talked to Hayley about this. She said she never intended to stay home with me because she wasn't comfortable. I know she means Alexandra is the one who doesn't like to stay with us and gets uncomfortable. I said what was done, but they could cancel the hotel. Hayley said no. I asked again because I'd prepared their rooms and assured them it would be comfortable. She said a hotel stay would be easier for everyone. I asked my grandkids if they wanted to stay with me, but they also said they wanted to be with their moms and would come to see me every day anyway. I'm honestly hurt. I told Hayley it was horrible that she'd gotten so used to her luxurious life that she couldn't bear staying at her own home. She didn't answer and left for the hotel. My son told me I was being too rough on them. I honestly feel insulted. Edit: my daughter visited me alone for the past 4 times and she stayed with me for them. The last time she visited with her family was 7 years ago. They'd stayed with us then too. About this visit, Hayley sent me the details of their stay in an email, but I didn't really check it, so I missed it. I don't know why she didn't call, to be honest. You are the idiot. I know she means Alexandra. No, you don't. You only think she means her. And the rest of your post makes me think she meant just what she said. After hearing your daughter was uncomfortable and was staying at a hotel, you tried to use her kids against her and asked them to stay with you? That's messed up and completely unacceptable. She told her kids where they were staying and you simply didn't care. Then you tried to guilt her by saying her luxurious lifestyle meant she hated you all. Sounds like you need to grow up. Oh, and don't forget Hayley sent out an email detailing their stay arrangements, but, well, I didn't read that. She should have called or whatever. Sound pretty much like a narcissist, bending over and backward for their child. Yeah, OP, you assumed she would stay with you but never asked her about her own plans. Then you admit she did send an email, but you never checked that, so you had the opportunity to know their plans but can't be bothered with basic communication. So now you failed to communicate twice, failed to check the information your daughter actively sent you, and failure to ask any questions about the trip. And then, instead of being like, oops, my bad, see you soon, you made up a narrative of why this is your daughter-in-law's fault and also tried to guilt them into staying and went around their decision to ask the kids directly to stay with you anyway. It's like a perfect summary of how to ensure your children never visit again. Earlier today, my tween daughter wanted to go to the park after she got out of school, so I agreed to take her. Our park has one of those zip line rides, my daughter's favourite, so she immediately ran to ride it. The second she got on and started riding, a little boy, toddler, ran in front of her, and she collided with him, knocking him over. He started screaming and his mom ran over to pick him up. My daughter apologized profusely and said it was an accident and she didn't see him, but the mom scolded her for not paying attention and said she seriously injured the kid. My daughter started crying and I felt like the mom was being too aggressive, especially saying the kid was seriously injured since he didn't have a scratch on him. So I stepped in and told the woman not to yell at my kid over a simple accident. She said I'm a lazy mom for not teaching my kid to pay better attention, and my daughter's too big to be playing on the playground as it is. Those words triggered something in me and I lost my temper. I called her a witch for talking to a child like that over an accident, and said that this wouldn't have happened if she'd been watching her toddler more carefully. She stormed off and I took my daughter home immediately. She cried the whole drive, and when we got home she went to her room. I came in to talk to her about what happened, and she said that what the woman said hurt, but I was worse because I embarrassed her by being a Karen. I must admit I was a bit shocked to hear that. I thought she'd be glad that I defended her. Am I the idiot for how I handled this? Not the idiot. The lady is the one that should have been watching her toddler and not letting him run across areas with those zipline rides. Once a kid starts going on those, you can't just stop right away, and the kid shouldn't be running in front of them. Obviously, a toddler wouldn't know that, and she should have been watching him. She probably scolded your daughter because she was panicked since her kid got knocked over, but as the adult, she should have kept a calm head. If anyone made my daughter cry over an accident, I call them a witch too. Everyone's the idiot here. That woman shouldn't have been scolding your daughter like that and should have addressed you instead. It sounds like she also needed to be watching her kid because it's not smart to walk in a zipline path, ever, especially if you're too young to pay attention to when kids are getting on and off. But you escalated this way beyond what it needed to be. Your anger is valid, and it's valid to model standing up for yourself to your daughter. It wouldn't have been that difficult to calmly say something like, "My kid can be here, stop yelling at her." It would have gotten the point across and then just walked away.